One of the most amazing things about the Canon R5 Mark II is the fact that you can actually shoot 10-bit in one of the many different picture profiles that are out there. You do not need to do CLOG 2, CLOG 3. You don't need to do RAW. You get 10-bit just out of the camera in HEVC. Did I say that correct? That is the H.265 format in long GOP. And the colors are vibrant. You don't have to worry about color grading. It is amazing. And today we're going to be talking about it. I'm so excited. Are you excited? We're going to be talking about R5 II cameras like all week. So buckle up. It's going to get crazy. Welcome back, and if you're new to the channel, welcome. It's a great place to be. You already want to know that you're going to hit the like button and subscribe because we are awesomely crazy here. So today it is, yes, 10-bit color that you get out of the camera, no color grading needed. We're going to be going around in my backyard, my front yard. I'm going to show you different scenarios. I'm going to show you colors. We're going to compare it also to CLOG 2, which is also 10-bit. The thing you are going to be missing from going to a baked-in picture profile that you can't do anything with is the fact that, well, the dynamic range does cut down, but for most people, it doesn't matter. Do you know who most people are? A lot of professionals out there. That's right. Some of you are gonna argue with me, but I have a good friend that owns a production company that rarely, if any time, actually films in log or raw. They are in baked-in profiles because they are in also studios where their lighting is set. They know exactly what they're doing, and these are actually commercials that are done. That is big because now your workflow in post-production and editing is going to be a lot easier. And you also have 10-bit colors, which is so much better than 8-bit color because I'm going to show you some 8-bit color compared to the 10-bit color on here. And you may not notice a huge difference because obviously it's baked in, but you're able to pull out some more vibrance, more saturation. The colors are, there's more colors. There's just period more colors, and they do not fall apart as easily when you push it in post-production than you would with 8-bit. 8-bit would fall apart, artifacting happens, and then we're all sad. It's a sad world to be in. But before we get started, let me tell you what I am filming on. Obviously the R5 II. I am in 24 frames per second in 4K fine. So that is 8K downsampled, super sharp. Look, I just got even more serious because I'm closer to the camera. We are at ISO 320. That's right, I'm not getting more serious. I just have bad eyesight when I'm that far away. But ISO 320, f4, 1/50th shutter. And it is long GOP, and it is 10-bit, of course. So we are gonna look at some colors. We're gonna talk about the pros and cons when it comes to this, and if you should be shooting most of the time in a picture profile. And I wanna tell you, before I got the R5 II, and I've been playing and doing these tests on it, my R7, my R6 II, I actually shot in standard and in faithful a lot of the times in my studio because it's easier to get those videos out to you than it is to color grade a lot of these. Now, I will tell you I am in faithful right now. That is the profile. There is standard, there is neutral, there is monochrome. We're not gonna do monochrome, by the way. Why would you do 10-bit color and do monochrome? Maybe there's an answer, tell me. It is super windy out here. Also, the microphone I'm using is the DJI Wireless Pro. That is my wind chime I got for Father's Day because that is my fetish. I am into wind chimes. So something was blowing in my hair or lack thereof. I just felt it on my head. By the way, the links are below for all the products that I do use. If you are interested in them, they don't cost you any extra, but it does benefit and help out the channel. It helps me do videos like this for you. Now, let's walk in and show you why you may not want to do a baked-in picture profile and you'd want to do CLOG 2. Whoa, that is it. I am now an albino, completely blinded. Can I recover this in post? Probably not. In CLOG 2, better chance of doing it. I will tell you a big benefit. Look at that, I am a ghost. Let's get into the shadows here. So, one of the big benefits that we do have is that I need to adjust my tripod and get it higher up. Now, I'm probably just fine, I'm not blown out, but obviously the grass back there is, the house might be blown out, and those are the downfalls when it comes to baked in profiles because it's baked in. There is no leverage like you get in CLOG 2 or CLOG 3. This is what you get. So the best way of actually determining that is how static is your scenario that you're shooting? Is it a studio where you have lighting? Is it outside where you have fixed the lighting, even if the sun is moving? Those are the things you want to consider. If it is B footage, then it really doesn't matter because a lot of B footage you can adjust on the go and get those shots. But if it is a talking head video, if it is something where it's an environment, like in my case, real estate, and you're coming and going and you want some dynamic range to look out the windows, well then in that case, you probably want to do CLOG 2. But a huge benefit when it comes to these baked in profiles and not doing CLOG is there is no base ISO of 800 anymore. The base ISO is 100 because it's baked in. You don't need that leverage that log requires. So right now I'm at ISO 250, whereas if I'm shooting in log, in order to get that best picture, I have to be at a lowest end of ISO 800. This is nice because my ND filter that I'm using from Canon Concept, that's a pitch for down there. By the way, this is an ND4 because obviously it is bright out here. I could probably use an ND8, but I would have had to use an ND8 or even a 32 in this kind of lighting if I'm at an ISO of 800. But since I can go down to ISO 250, I don't have to crank up that ISO so much, less noise. Do a nice clean ND4 on here from Canon Concept. Again, link is below. Love these screw-on filters. Also love the magnetic ones. They are fantastic. And so that is a big benefit, is now you have less noise because your ISO can be below 800. Now, one of the most amazing things when it comes to the Canon R5 Mark II is the fact that they have introduced into a non-cinema camera the waveform. And the waveform is huge, and we can do a video all by itself just talking about that, and I probably will, or a short even, but the waveform is great because you will know that if you are blown out or not. Now, when you are shooting in CLOG, your waveform is going to be crunched, it is going to be very tight, and in post you can bring out your highlights, you can bring down your shadows and really do that crunchiness and be more specific. But with a baked-in profile like this one, which again is in Faithful, and I'm going to keep it in Faithful probably this whole video, in Faithful or Standard or Neutral or any of those, you now are in your baked-in highlights. Your highlights are baked in, your shadows are baked in, you might have a tiny bit of leverage, but it is there. But you can see that in the waveform. So when I was setting up this little scene on my front steps right here, I could see where things were clipping and where the shadows were, and I was able to adjust according to my bald head. And so I should be just fine in this. I could raise this up a little bit, but that is what makes the R5 II so special, is that in live view, while recording, you still have waveform. You will know what is clipping in these baked-in files and what is not, and that is game-changing. Also, right now I'm gonna bring up the saturation. See how I can push this? Does it look so bad? Let's just bring up that saturation, maybe the vibrance a little bit. These colors are very accurate right out of camera. Neutral is nice because it gives you a little bit more leverage. So if you do need to adjust the colors in post, Neutral, Standard, those are good ones as well. So with the 24 to 105 f4, obviously I'm at f4. I just love being at the most wide open on this lens because it is still super sharp, even though it's considered a kit lens. But I am at 150th again, and ISO is 160. So I adjusted the ISO, which you can't really do that when you are shooting in log because you want a base ISO of 800, otherwise stuff starts to deteriorate below. So right now we are at ISO 160, and I was able to look at the waveform and know that I will not be blown out in this photo or video, whatever it's called. And the background might be in the sky a little bit, but I'm curious if I can recover some of that in post-production with DaVinci Resolve. This is how that image looks. I should be able to pull up some of the shadows a little bit and not deteriorate. And again, because it is in 10-bit, these colors should not start artifacting at all. And with the 4K fine, it is super sharp because it is downsampled by 8K. So now you have the best of both worlds because you've got 10-bit, you've got 4K fine, downsampled from 8K, and just the colors. And you don't have to do any color grading, just little tweaks in post. So if you are primary a photographer with the R5 II and you want to do video, don't worry about CLOG 2. You can still shoot it, but this is sufficient. And we're gonna show some video right now where it looks beautiful. If you're curious, I'm at 56 millimeters, ISO 500, and again, the 24-105, an awesome, versatile L-series piece of glass that you can usually find on sale below in the links. But here is another misconception when it comes to 10-bit baked-in files like this one and 10-bit CLOG 2 or CLOG 3. And you would think that baked-in file of 10-bit would be a smaller sized file. Well, wrong. It's actually the same exact size because it is the exact information coming in the sense that you are getting high quality 10-bit color rendition. You just don't have that leverage in the details when it comes to the dynamic range. But again, this one, I can look in my waveform and know that this was gonna be a decent shot right here, and I still have leverage in post. It still looks good. And so do I. A bald, beautiful man in front of his house, talking to a camera while people walk by and stare at him. I'm pretty sure they're staring at me because of what I just said. I'm pretty cool. Yes, I am pretty cool. But you know what's even cooler? The fact that you can shoot 10-bit without having to go into log. And in a studio setting like this is actually the R5 II, obviously, but it is also the 15-35 at 2.8. And the ISO is at 200. I had to look up at my monitor to make sure. And 1/50th shutter. Now, if this was in log, if this was in raw, it has to be at a base ISO of 800. And at that point, you would have to probably put an ND filter on or really lower these lights that I have on me. And when you're in studios, the studio lights tend to get pretty bright and you don't want to do an ND filter. You want it bare naked in front of that lens so you can see it, how beautiful it really is. And being in a studio setting like this is very controlled. This is nice. But right now, I'm just going to show you earlier today what it looked like with just the regular picture profile of Faithful and then compare it next to log. So you got CLOG 2 and you've got Faithful. Now, I will tell you that CLOG 2 is pretty amazing. I've enjoyed it and it is awesome when shooting real estate. But in most other scenarios, if you're in a controlled environment, you need some B footage, this is really the route to go. This will save you a lot more time. And you're also not compromising the colors that you would be getting in the 8-bit photos. And here is the explanation of 8-bit, 10-bit in Jared's terms. It's not scientific, it's Jared-tific, but this is the best way for me to articulate it to you. 8-bit is described more like when my kids were younger and they would color in the coloring books and they would go from one color to another when coloring in, and it was just so non-blended. It did not look good. It was just like, boom, there's yellow. Then I decided to put red right in there. Where 10-bit, you have so much more colors to work with. It's picking up all the colors, the transition into a shirt like this, into my skin. the tones just flow because there's extra color data flowing into that. It isn't harsh. And that's why 10-bit color is always going to be better. Now, another thing we can talk about in a future video is 12-bit color, which you get in Canon RAW or S-RAW, which is the small RAW. That is also a game changer. But right now, this 10-bit, little work that needs to be done in post, just up the saturation maybe a little bit. You can just get that vibrance going. You can manipulate the colors a little bit, but it's getting more color data than the 8-bit. Now, although I've had the Canon R5 II for over a month now, there's just endless things I can talk about, and I'm excited about it. It's not like I'm forcing these things. I'm excited for this. There's so much more features that I haven't even touched on the video end, let alone the photography end. And I do plan on beating this horse. It's still alive. We're just going to keep knocking it down. But I need you to help me. This question was handed over by a subscriber earlier this week, and I was thinking about this. This video wasn't going to happen, but then they asked for it. So there you go. If you politely ask a question below, Jared may politely answer it in a video like this. And who knows, you could be the next person. So if you have any specific questions about the Canon R5 II in video or even in photo, let me know. I am more than willing to make some more videos on this because I feel like tutorials should not be a one-stop shop. It should be a process. And this is going to change over time. My views on this are going to change over time. But the fact that you're in a studio like this or another fixed location with fixed lighting, this is a good option to go. And honestly, this is how I have shot previous videos until I got the R5 II and I wanted to test out the CLOG 2. I always was in the neutral or the standard or the faithful. And now I think I'm going to be faithful to the faithful. And if you want to be faithful to me, you can hit that like button and subscribe right away because more videos are going to come out this week on the Canon R5 II. And if you have any questions, you know where to leave it in the comments below. But I do love enjoying this and I appreciate you sticking around this long. So you may want to check out these videos right here because you might have missed them. These are other Canon R5 II videos that I've done already. So before you figure out the questions you want to ask, watch these and we will see you in the next video. Like me, myself, and myself.